So, I mean, a lot of what goes into, the minerals and how they work in the body is outlined in there. And we know we're deficient. I want to go into how do we not become deficient? How do we become the proper range of minerals for us? And always you look to probably diet first, right? So
Yeah.
what are some of those foods that you're looking at for specific deficiencies that you could share with the audience?
Sure. I think so. Most people are lacking in things like copper, minerals like manganese, chromium, as you had sort of read off this list. And so a lot of people, they sort of know the importance of getting calcium or even magnesium. But there's these other trace minerals that are found in organs that a lot of us are not getting. And I think probably the main issue is people just aren't selecting the right combinations of foods
Mm.
because as we go in the book, the minerals have to be balanced. So if you get not enough magnesium, that can lead to calcium overload. If you don't get enough copper, that can lead to iron overload. So it's like if you're not selecting for foods that are going to give you copper, that are going to give you magnesium, you can get overloads in other minerals. And so essentially that's the problem. So how I like to do it is I always start with about 12 ounces of red muscle meat for protein, iron, zinc, and B12. And then I build the diet off of that base because that's such a strong base. And that allows you to sort of now get the trace minerals that a lot of people are lacking. So once I've covered that 12 ounces of red meat, I like to add in about a half ounce of liver per day. So the liver is going to boost your vitamin A, your folate, your copper, which a lot of people are lacking. We got to understand too that the bioavailability of nutrients in animal foods are better than plant foods as
Mm.
well. So I don't like to just solely rely on my 100% RDA, let's say, just from plants. You should really have some animal foods backing it up. Once the liver has been added, now you're sort of lacking, you're still lacking manganese, calcium, magnesium. So you've covered the copper, the folate, the vitamin A. How do you get manganese? How do you get magnesium? How do you get calcium? Well, mineral waters are really important for the magnesium and the calcium because it's very difficult to get those nutrients in a bioavailable form if you're not consuming mineral waters. So I'd like to add that to my sort of animal-based diet, which also offsets the acidity of consuming animal foods. So that I drink bicarbonate waters as well. And then on top of that, I do like to add a little bit of dark greens for potassium and magnesium. And then the other piece of this pie here is manganese. And so you can either get that from mussels or you can do something like Ezekiel bread, which is just organic sprouted grains. So that's sort of how I like to build most of my diet.
And that's a well-rounded, diverse diet, which you really want to see. You want to see, different colors, different elements all over the food chain. But one of the things you mentioned there, mineral water, and I know you brought this up. Is Gerolsteiner your favorite there?
It is. Gerald Steiner is my favorite because of several reasons. When you're looking for a mineral water, if you're on an animal-based diet like myself, you have to make sure that the bicarbonate is higher than the sulfate because the
Mm.
sulfate is technically acidic. It'll pull minerals out of the body. And so Gerald Steiner has this high bicarbonate to sulfate ratio, and it has good amounts of magnesium, 100 milligrams per liter, and good amounts of calcium as well.
And I have to say, it tastes delicious. It's by far my favorite.
It
I
does.
put so many people onto it, so I feel like I should hold stock in Gerald Steiner at this time, and maybe you should too now. Another food I saw in there that you listed that I appreciate myself so much and have come to learn it really is somewhat of a mineral superfood, but I want to get your take on it if it actually is or not, are oysters. Fresh oysters are high in zinc, iodine, other things as well. Would you consider that a mineral superfood?
Yeah, oysters are great because they're very high. They give a lot of copper. And again, that's a very big missing nutrient, not just from the standpoint of we actually lose minerals when we sweat, and particularly copper. And we can discuss why that's a problem. But they are, if you tolerate them, they are really a huge nutrient powerhouse. The only other probably food that's higher in nutrients than oysters would be mussels.
Mhm. So both coming from the sea, both these shellfish in a sense, but highly, highly bioavailable in those minerals.